Turn on the radio, see if it mentions anything about helicopters today. Get back to our process of eating all the fish.
This week, he hosted his second annual Global Initiative Forum in New York. More than $7 billion was spent to tackle some of the worst problems in developing countries, such as poverty, disease, and climate change. As part of the conference, Mr. Clinton...
Alright, tomorrow's not going to be nearly as hot as we've been dealing with, because we've been dealing with a lot of 85-degree days. Okay. I'm going to put that in the spare bag. I should pull up more fish, but I'm trying not to do that. I just want to get back to what we're doing. There we go. There's a nice big, almost 6.25 kilogram fish. The only reason I'm not opening that door, just in case I have stuff in my hands. So realistically, I really should, do more fishing, but I'm not going to. And part of the reason we probably have so many zombies down here is I keep getting caught up here with the helicopter. And I keep pulling all zombies at South End. Alright, one more hydrate. And just for you, I'll make it water again. 1 second. There you go. And thank you for hanging out and tuning in and all that. Yeah, do it for yourself. You aren't wrong. Oh, all the other veggies are still frozen. Let's see, Xander, you could raid that supermarket in Rosewood and grab super fattening things. Butter. Yeah, I know. I actually have a whole bunch of non-perishable foods back at the base. Like, a ton of them. But, I've been just basically using nothing but the stuff I find. Basically leaving the non-perishables for emergency situations, which will probably never ever come. The classic RPG issue of, oh, they gave me a life potion. Well, I better save that for when I need it most. And then you're like struggling to survive, and you're like, no, but I need to save the potion for when I need it most, and then you just never use it. We're totally doing that situation, just with non-perishable food. Yeah, there'll never be an emergency situation where the answer is food. If there's an emergency situation, it will be because zombies are overwhelming us or that kind of thing. Of which food is not the relevant problem. Especially like the real good stuff like Phoenix Downs and all that, like could, you know, resurrect you. We hit a couple zombies with this truck recently. I haven't checked on how we're doing. Alright, so I got a tire that's in bad shape, and some of the suspension's getting a little rough. Not the point where I'm like, oh, gotta patch her up. But we got some stuff that's like, it's not good. It's not bad, but it's not good. Like, one of the things I had to train myself out of in this game was I was deliberately, like, doing stuff like saving the katanas for when I had more maintenance and all that. Like, no, really, just use them. Like, yes, you can get more mileage on, but even with really good maintenance, you're only talking in the hundreds of kills with katanas. It's better to use it when your skills suck early on to survive to when your skills don't suck. Plus, one wants to have fun with katana. Let's see. Rafa says, that is exactly how I play RPGs, like most of us do. There are definitely people who are like, no, this is an item in the game and I should use it. And if we're being objective, they're the ones whose approach is probably better because they actually use the tools the game gives them versus the rest of us who hoard the tools that the game gives us and then don't use them. Goldiro says, you hit the potion hard and accurate. Xandor says, I think I got over 200 kilos of emergency non-perishable food I keep for emergency. On top of that, with a few popsicle fridges of frozen fresh food. Exactly. That's like that room I have in the main room. 2 of those cabinets are just non-perishable food, and like the third one is books, and the others are empty. Let's see. Xanders also says, at this point, I'm sure I'm just a hoarder. I can't justify it anymore anyway. Oh, like absolutely. I have all that stuff. And I think it was this last winter I actually tapped in a little bit and grabbed a couple of the boxes of cereal, because towards the end of the winter, you know, I'm like, I am just eating veggie. Like, we started actually going into properly underweight. I'm like, no, I really shouldn't be underweight for this run. You know, let me break out some oats, let me break out some cereal. You know, let's fix this. Yep. I don't know how many. I know we have like 20-something hunting knives in the truck, I believe. Because I have 25 hunting knives on me, which is way more than I need. Here, I'm actually going to move some over. Okay, so we got 35 hunting knives in the truck, 10 on our person. Oh no, yeah, CommieX, it's going to be a thing that happens forever during this run. Is, periodically when we do return to towns, there's going to be, you know, like 20, 30, 50 zombies, depending on the town. We'll have returned to it. It takes us not even a full day to deal with. Like, if you look, you know, we've only been awake in the town for an hour or two, and we're already rolling out. It happens. That's just the nature of migration. But the more and more you do that, the less and less you see. Yes, but generally, my belief, though, is they actually will prioritize cells that are supposed to be higher population. I don't know if it's like... Like, I don't know the specifics about movement mechanics with migration. But what I've observed would make me think that the zombies generally want to concentrate in areas that are supposed to be high pop, if there is not high pop there kind of thing. And it's not like a hard rule or something. Like that I can also verify. It's not like a hard rule that if they have the choice of a high pop or a low pop that they will 100% always take the high pop. It's I think there's some level of not prioritization. Like there's a pressure, as it were, to like try and get them to more often move to where they like a hot zone, as it were, if there's just not enough zombies there. Because I have noticed a lot of the cities, when I'm clearing the area of the cities that there's not much population normally, I don't see as many zombies migrate in. Versus if I'm, like, on the main drag of the cities, it seems like the zombies just keep coming in, keep coming in, keep coming in, until eventually there's just not that many. And then when they visit the rest of town, you know, there's not nearly as many zombies just anywhere in the rest of town. Like, to give you context... Let's make sure I'm clear. Like, to give you context, for Riverside, pushing this main drag here, that was probably 90% of our effort. All this, we spent probably literal in-game months pushing this one road. But then, like, all of this back area down here probably took us all of, like, 5-6 days. And then same with Rosewood. We spent literal months pushing this one main road here. And then all the rest of this fell in just a couple of days after that. So it does feel like it works that way, where they're trying to migrate into the hot spots, as it were. And part of it is you're also depleting the zombies in the local area. There's less zombies to show up. But it does seem like it does prioritize or heavily influence them to try and want to go to the areas where there's supposed to be more zombies. Which makes me curious when I start clearing areas like the mall that are supposed to be very high pop, if it'll just be like a magnet for like all the woods around it that will just keep seeing the zombies come in. Let's see. Wildiro says, I'm already 2 months in game. I can't still clear my place outside Rosewood. So many Z's, the big house is near church. What settings are you playing on Goldiro? Because if you have like respawns on, you'll never clear. Like you'll get yourself a decent perimeter, but you'll always have zombies encroaching on it. There's a broken crowbar from previous ventures. 8 times pop, no respawn? Gotcha. Yeah, no, it'll be a meat grinder. Like 100%. I mean, I've mentioned a couple of times, just this road from where we're about to reach now, where I have this stool I abandoned here forever ago. Just that road there, that was like the first 2 months in game. It was just this one road getting to the first house in Ekron. From there's just a little ways up here. Like you can see it on the minimap, the 2 circles on to the west of me. Like just that was like two months worth of effort. Just watch, you're returning home since I wasn't tuned in at all. I am convinced your electricity is bug. Oh, you mean the generator thing? But that's the same behavior I've always seen from the generator. Is that it seems like when I'm not around base, the power usage it has is negligible, which I would just equate to, like, once you approach the base enough that it's in range, till once you're far enough out of range, it stops doing stuff, and it never plays catch up. And I've had multiple people say, yeah, that's just how it works. That's been what I've observed. And like I took like this time where we went back and we were gone for a full week, we only used 4% of our gas. I'm like, okay, like without question, we are not burning gas while we're not here. Like that's just not a thing that's happening. Now, I don't think it's bugged. I'm just curious. I haven't at any point been able to recreate the thing where it's like, oh, very clearly, we've used a meaningful amount of gas while I'm away. Because like, with how fast we would burn gas otherwise, or I keep saying gas, yeah. Weird. Well, Daryl, you go far away from base, and then your base got frozen. Yeah. And I don't have, like, any mods or anything dealing with anything like that. And that's just all the ways I've observed it. So, I don't know. Now, how far away from your base could be a question. Like, maybe if I'm still in the same city, but, like, blocks and blocks and blocks away, maybe that's close enough it's still updating. We're making good progress. We haven't gone in the building yet, but we did peer into the building, and it's absolute nightmare fuel. I went from going, hey, there's no way there's like 20, 30,000 zombies here with as many zombies as I'm killing, and I'm just not seeing that many. Then we looked in the window, and I retract that. Can you let me question it? At the same time, for whatever reason, I am seeing the opposite results. Yeah, no, I have no idea. Because my generator's hooked up, it's got 5 units of freezers on it, and 4 lights. And all of them were placed by me, the player. Well, and it's got the gas pumps, but those don't use fuel. But, so every single thing it's using for power placed by me, the player. And we do have a space that counts as interior. We do have a space that's not. I wonder why that is. But yeah, like, I take it 100% as evidence, like, that I am obviously seeing the very opposite thing. Because, again, we were gone for well over... I mean, not well over... We were gone for a good long time. And came back and only 4% of the gas was used out of the generator. Huh. Like I said, I'm basically running mostly default apocalypse settings, with the only exception of, I've cranked up the zombie pops, set multiple helicopters, and then, I turned open the mini-maps that way when I go, people ask me questions, I could be like, oh, you can just go right here to find, have an opportunity to find sledgehammers in a warehouse. It's not high, but it's possible. Like that kind of stuff. And then mods-wise, I have almost nothing but UI mods. It does make me wonder if, like... Because if he's talking about... So he's saying, Bill Murray, he left for, like, 2 months, or whatever it was. He left for a good long time that... It doesn't really matter what you have running on it. If you're away from your base for that long, you're probably going to run out of gas. So it does make me wonder if there are some things that do update and some things that don't update. Because I could distinctly see it as like, okay, the game is good about... I'm trying to think of, like, maybe tabletop lamps. Maybe tabletop lamps, it actually does the math right, but the lights you put on the wall, it doesn't. Or maybe the industrial fridge it does, but the ice freezer it doesn't. Because that'd be my guess, is if we are seeing opposite behavior, that it's certain things do and don't refresh it, or there's something around that. Would be my next guesses. Or that there is something that triggers the update, and that, for whatever circumstances, my update isn't getting triggered. That's like very specific thing triggers it to update the fuel use. That's weird. Because like I said, I'm not modding in any meaningful manner. And that's behavior I also recall seeing before I mod as well. Because when I did my APOC run that went over a year before I streamed, like, that was vanilla, no mods, not even like UI mods, like no mods. And I did remember, like, leaving to go for supply runs and whatever, and just utterly ignoring the generator. It could also be, how long ago was the, I didn't look, how long ago was that clip from? Because maybe something happened during the multiplayer update that bugged it. Like, maybe it's supposed to be updating, but something they changed, because they did 2 days ago. Alright, but he's talking about his 100k kills. That was, if I recall, the 100k kill run, that was right before the multiplayer update, wasn't it? Or like right at it? Because it could be that maybe the generators are supposed to be updated when you return, and at the moment they're bugged. I could see that being a possibility. Because the multiplayer update did do a significant number of changes. Wouldn't surprise me if they had something that just tangentially bugged something or whatever. That as they were accommodating for the multiplayer stuff, that they accidentally did something like that. Huh. It does seem like it's something that needs more testing. Because if me, you, and Cheese are all seeing different results, then there's either A, some variable we're not considering, or something's happened. Because, I mean, you've noticed with the base there that, like, we were gone for about a week. We came back, we had only used 4% gas, but then if I sleep at the base for one night, I use, like, 10% gas, so... It is very clear that the generator is not using the amount of gas it's supposed to use while we're not near the base. Like, that I can say in this world is absolutely the case. But the question is, why? That's interesting. It might be interesting because he's doing another run where he's doing a long time thing. I wonder. Branks was, it always amuses me that zombies go for the driver's seat, even if you walk right past them. Yeah, it actually annoys me quite a bit because I'm like, look, I'm ready to fight the zombie, and they all start walking by. I'm like, great, I have to wait for all of them to go to the driver's side seat, then turn around and come back, and it'll be like the 2 or 3 that don't. Yes. Yes, Andor. Pretty much every single time I sleep at the base, I use between 10 and 14% gas. Just for, like, the night. But, I mean, we technically have 5 units of freezer and something like 4 lights on it. Which still feels weird, because by the estimate on the generator's information, it says it should be using just shy of 1 unit of gas per hour. So, my assumption is that's real-life hour, not game hour. Which can be confusing because we have game hours. But yeah, it is about between like 10 and 14% that we use every night I'm at the base. Gotcha. Do we know what the trigger is by chance? My assumption would be like every N hour in game, you know, that you're at the base or whatever, or you interact with certain things, that it triggers a refresh. Like I don't know what the trigger is. Because my assumption would be, and we'll like, even though it's a night, we'll just say like every day I burn 10% gas. We'll just say that. That's not accurate, but we'll say it. My assumption would be, if that were the case, and I leave for 6-7 days, I should come back to only like 20-30% gas. Versus coming back and having 4% gas. Now, it could be that I come home, I see the generator, I look at it, it has not done the calculation for reasons, like the trigger has not occurred yet, but then I go to sleep, and then the trigger happens. But that seems... That would be really bad, in my opinion, if that were the case. Because then you'd come home to your base and be like, oh, my gas is fine. And then you leave after you've been gone for, we'll say, 6 months. Something extreme that there's no way your generator could have the gas. You come home, you look at your generator and go, oh, 4%, we're good. And then you wake up, you go to leave because you don't check again, because why would the generator suddenly lose 94% of its, or 96% of its gas? And then you leave your base and the generator's off the entire time you're gone. You know, come back, all your food's rotten. Or, like, I don't know the refresh rate and how it figures out the food thing. But, yeah. I'm curious. There's definitely not something working as intended there. The question is, what and why? Because yeah, even in that small snippet of the VOD where you see me check the generator, go, okay, we're at 96% gas. Clearly, it didn't use any meaningful gas while we were gone. You know, we went in, we ate a bunch of fish, went to sleep. I'm just suddenly realizing, do I still have fish to eat? Or we ate the fish, that's right. You know, said, okay, clearly it's not refreshing, and then we walked out the next morning and used like roughly 10% of the gas. So like, okay, very clearly this is like what's supposed to be. I'd be interested. And part of the thing that is frustrating is the calculation. Because, like, it seems the amount of gas it says it's going to use does not align with what it actually uses. Just where, like, because I think mine, with what I've got loaded on, it says it uses 0.91 liters per hour. Which, to me, would imply, okay, if it's, like... Do we know what the unit conversion between, like... It should be 1-to-1 in my opinion. But the amount of units, like a unit of gas in this game, how many liters that is? Like, it should be 1-to-1. If it isn't, why? Why would they not make it 1-to-1? Because if it was the case per hour in-game, and we're talking in-game time, that means every 12 hours, you know, roughly every 12 hours, my gas should be running out. Just over 12 hours. Which very clearly is not happening. And thank you for the follow, Burial Rights. Welcome to the stream. Because it's definitely, we are not expending all of our gas 12 in-game hours. I also do not believe we're expending all of our gas in 12 real-life hours. I do believe it's going much faster than that. That said, it could be perhaps real-life hours, and then when you fast-forward, that kind of thing. Oh, you're saying that every single day it burns 12-hour gas, 12% gas, no matter what's connected to it? Then why does it even, like... To me, that means it's just giving you bad information if it's saying, oh, you're using this much gas. I mean, I would agree that would make sense to me, because that's the whole thing. It's like, but this doesn't make sense. If it's just like, no matter what you do, 12%, and that'd be an easy thing to test. Put 40 fridges on it, and then go, okay, what's my gas, like, how fast does my gas go away? That actually would kind of bother me if that is the case, that it just doesn't matter. If I have a single light or, you know, 50 fridges on it, it runs the same. Oh, you're saying 12% gas per day is the baseline. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm okay with that. Alright, that makes more sense. Right. Now then I guess my next question is, okay, if it's 12% per day, and I add a device, and it makes it 13%, or is it, I add a device, and once the collective number of devices exceeds 12%, then it does that? So it's like, it's a min value, not a base value? Because this is stuff I don't know, because I haven't sat down and tested all, or looked it up on the wiki, or seen videos of people going through all the details on it. And honestly, it's the kind of stuff that they can update, and then all your information, you have to relearn it. Which is always kind of difficult things with games that update, is just every so often you have to throw out a chunk of your knowledge because it's no longer up to date. Which is part of why the reason the wiki is, you know, a hot mess at times. Because I've had a number of times where people, it's like, well, the wiki says this. Like, well, I hate to break it to you. The wiki's wrong. But that said, the best way to deal with it is when you do find stuff, he said, I am getting conflicting information. I mean, if able, test it. Gotcha, okay. So the idea is idling the generator, let's say it makes, I'm just going to make it numbers, it makes 200 watts of power. And then ice freezer uses 100 watts. So you'd have that amount, no increased gas costs. But then if I put like 3 ice freezers on it, I now need 300 watts. It'll increase the gas consumption to whatever the equivalent is to get it to that amount of power consumption. And I don't think it actually considers watts or anything like that. I'm just using that in the absence of whatever actual values they use. Okay, that makes sense. That's actually pretty realistic to how actual generators work. An idling generator still burns fuel to like keep itself running. Oh, I'm gonna grab this duffel bag. Just nom the entire bag of chips. And ma'am, you can have your duffel bag back. Okay, that's not bad. Like, so the only question comes up, why is the consumption not updating on return like it's supposed to be? Because it would, like, to me, the player, it makes sense that if I leave a generator running, or, like, and I'm there for too long, that I should have to return to refuel. That's actually one of the reasons why I have deliberately made it so that we only leave for, like, 6 or 7 days. Is that way, you know, I always get back to the base, you know, do my Jenny repairs, refuel the generator, all those kind of things. It also gives me like a day break from just slamming my head against the zombies, which is nice. Yeah. Yeah, and Xander, like 100% you can see here that like I didn't scuff the test. Very clearly it's like, okay, we've been fighting the prison for like 5, 6, 7 days, whatever it is. And only 4% fuel use. And then the next day we had the proper like 10, 12, whatever percent. I'm going to guess, ooh, machete. Thank you. Yeah, Xander, I should actually be saying the messages you're saying, because that helps for people who are who can't see chat. Yes, Xander saying, I have no idea, that's the reason why I'm bamboozled by your results, because they are defining logic, or defying, I think the point is to say defying logic, but yes. Yeah, so my assumption, and this is me just going, this is 100% just me guessing, hypothesis. This isn't me going, very clearly I've done tests. No. This is just me guessing. My guess is, if I'm not mistaken, Cheese did the run with Bill Murray before the multiplayer update. Or at least the generator thing probably happened before the multiplayer update. So my guess is a bug got introduced with the multiplayer update that broke the update logic on the generator from when you're away. That would be my guess, because we have seen some weirdness with the zombie movement after the multiplayer update, sometimes just triggering over-aggressively at points, sometimes not seeming to trigger. We have seen some other little tangential funkiness. Like, not in a bad way, but just behaviors that we accepted kind of weren't working exactly as we remember them. So my assumption was they made changes in the game's logic about when to update what for considerations with multiplayer, and that it had side effects. And that's me putting dev hat on, trying to troubleshoot this. So, in that case, Cheese would be right. How old is the save? Can you remember what version it started on? This would be 41.65, whatever. Like not the one that just came out this week, but the previous update. Versus for Cheese, that For cheese, the Bill Murray run would have been before multiplayer, if I'm not mistaken. Because if I recall, he hit the 100,000 before multiplayer dropped. Because I remember multiplayer was coming when he was doing that run, and I think it was something he very specifically was trying to do, was to wrap up the run before multiplayer in case like anything went wrong or whatever. At least that's my memory. It could be wrong. Yes, this is a very new save. This save is only a couple weeks old, I believe. Yeah, Brain Explode says, it would make sense, though, from a dev's point of view, they want to keep loaded chunks as little as possible to save memory. It would be especially critical with multiplayer. Something could change. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, is I think they probably got more aggressive in handling their memory of the chunks loaded, and as a result, something got broken. FaZe Natic says, it's so weird seeing Rosewood cleared, like, just last week, real time. You couldn't even pass the main road. Yep, that's how this, like, and I've mentioned this mentioned it before. Most of the cities, whatever your entryway is when you're on the 16x pop, there's a point where the zombie population in the city is kind of loaded, and you get to that spot and you kind of just slam heads, because the zombies, they'll all be bunched up too close to each other, so they'll kind of shuffle and shimmy to try and get enough space between them, and it naturally kind of like forces the zombies out at you, and meanwhile you're trying to force your way in. So you kind of hit this meat grinder and just slam your head there until whatever zombies were like reinforcing it just are depleted, and then you just kind of push in real fast after that point. Like that's the thing where I was mentioning, it took us like months to get on this main drag, and then the rest of the city fell in a couple of days. And I'm not calling Rosewood cleared yet, because there's going to be a bunch of zombies that have wandered in from the woods. We didn't go honking or horn around the place, so there's still going to be zombies there. But I'm anticipating when we go back into Rosewood, maybe killing 10, 12, maybe 20 packs at the most, and then no more zombies being there.